Welcome to Blowing Solutions Wide Open, where we're talking about all things spiritual as well as creating new systems in the area of healthcare, government, finance, education, and new environmental practices. My name is Addie Halkin. If you think that you have ideas or things to share in any of the areas I just mentioned, please feel free to email blowingsolutionswideopen@gmail.com, or you can put the word guest in the comment section of this video, and I'd love to talk to you and potentially have you come on this channel and share with people what you know. If you have ideas around helping the planet or helping humanity in subjects that I did not just cover, that's great too. I'd love to hear about it. And if you're not somebody that wants to be on a podcast, but you'd like to contribute to getting information through, please feel free to leave that in the comment section of this video, or you can certainly email me with that. Also, like, subscribe, share, comment, all those things if you want to see more content or you have an interest in getting alternative information out to more people. Today, I want to talk about another documentary that I watched. This one happened to be very long, very in depth. And the bottom line of why I want to talk about it with you is it really provided a very clear solution to what we're dealing with our planet right now in regards to the environment. For those of you that don't know, we are in a crisis. We are at a tipping point. We are far worse off than I think most people understand. Some of the things that I've been hearing is that we are like 60 years away from having no usable soil at the rate we're going, meaning that in 60 years, potentially, people can't survive. And that includes your kids and, who knows if you're young enough, maybe you. And so not only that, but the road to that 60 years is probably not going to be real comfortable as things get worse and worse. And so I really try to go after any kind of solution that I can find in regards to this. I feel like it's probably for me on the top of my list in regards to what to do about this planet right now. If I was somebody that was in a position to really make decisions about that, I think I'd address the climate situation as well as the human trafficking situation on this planet. I think those would be at the top of my list. So anyhow, I am not somebody that retains facts very well. So I apologize. I have to write this stuff down. I'm sorry for my poor reading skills. I'll do the best that I can, but you're going to take a lot less time listening to me fumble through a few things than you are to watch a 2 hour documentary. And I think some of this stuff is super important. So let me start. Um, what they had to say is they said, if we don't change our ways with how we are living, there will be a very large part of the planet that will be uninhabitable. If we don't take very sharp change of direction, we're going to see billions of people left outside of the parts of the world where humans can actually live. Even wider parts of the world will not be able to be we will not be able to grow crops for a variety of reasons, such as it will be too hot to grow crops. There won't be enough soil moisture, much more severe droughts, cyclones, hurricanes, fires, and rising seawater, which will contribute to the shrinking of fresh water. And a lot of our crops really need that fresh water or they can't be irrigated. Soil erosion, collapses of marine seawater, collapses of the Amazon rainforest, all of these things are likely to occur unless those of us that are adults change the system. Virtually every scientist today is in agreement that if we don't make major changes soon, we are headed to the point of no return. There have been four times, I'm sorry, yes, there have been four times more weather-related disasters in the past 50 years than in the previous 100 before that. Now, this part, I want to preference this by saying, I don't care what people eat. I am not one of those annoying people that tries to tell people what to eat. Makes no difference to me. The only reason I ever bring up diet is in regards to the environment, which I did not realize until I started watching a lot of these documentaries. I did not realize how linked these two subjects are. So keep that in mind. What they said is that they said vegan diets cause 75% less greenhouse gases than meat diets, 75% less land use, 54% less water usage, and 66% less biodiversity loss. Even small cuts in eating less meat in diet results in a lot more change. I should say a lot of change. Changing diet in this way is the quickest way to change the environment. So that was the bottom line for me in this documentary is that um, it's such a simple thing to change your diet in order to change the environment. And I just have to say, I understand that we are all different. We have different genetics, we have different DNAs, we have different blood types, we have different preferences. I get all of that. But I feel like we're at a place right now that who cares if you have to change your diet in order to keep the planet alive and provide a decent future for your kids? Who gives a crap? Just do it. I'm not saying you got to go to an extreme. Um, the world works off of grays. We don't have to be black and white about stuff. If you are somebody like myself where you just don't really like meat that much anyway, you might consider doing the vegetarian thing because we're really not at a place to be picky right now. And this sounds like about as simple of a solution as it comes. We all have to eat, we all grocery shop. Um, all you got to do is change that. And, you know, I don't know. I don't get the resistance around this. I know that there are a lot of people that are really into that heavy carnivore meat diet. It's not my thing, but where all they're eating is meat and fat. I don't know, guys. I don't think any amount of body image or trendy diet or, opinion on what is better or lesser than is worth destroying a planet over. So if it is in fact true, which it really has been proven, that our meat agriculture is causing the majority of our pollution, or I shouldn't say the majority, a huge portion of our pollution and a huge portion of our problems, then just change it. That's all I got to say about that. Not because I care what you eat, by the way. All right, moving on. The methane that cows produce is far more damaging to the environment than carbon dioxide. We are cutting down rainforests to either grow grasslands to graze the cows or grow cover crop to feed the cattle. The single biggest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions is beef because cows expel methane. All animal foods have a much bigger environmental impact than plant foods. Many have tried to speak out about the environmental impact from the animal production, only to be censored, undermined, and sabotaged. Big surprise. Any of us that seem to try to speak out about the truth, that happens. It is what it is. Livestock is the largest source of water pollution on the planet. A research team at Oxford University calculated if animals were to be taken off the menu, that one change would save $30 trillion in health and environmental damage. I don't know, that's a huge number. In fact, that would almost take care of the debt that our government has incurred. Just saying. Almost one half of America's land is used for meat and dairy production. That's crazy to me. So those of you who live in the United States, wow, we are not starving for meat and dairy here. Around the world, 1/3 of the land is used for livestock. Most of this land was once forest. We could reverse a lot of this land by turning it back into forests if we cut down on our meat consumption. The impact of the industrial animal agriculture on the environment should be on the top of government lists because it is an emergency situation at this point, according to those who made this documentary. A report that was published by WikiLeaks around 2009 exposed a conversation between Nestle executives and US officials called the Tour to Horizon. The Nestle executives said that their own research had shown that the world was set to run out of fresh water within the next 30 years. It stated that one of the greatest reasons for this is the global demand for meat products. If the rest of the world ate the amount of meat and dairy that Americans do, the planet would have run out of fresh water 15 years ago. What are we doing in this country? That's crazy. What are we doing? We can afford to cut back. To put this into perspective, hydrofracking uses 7 billion gallons of fresh water annually. Animal agriculture uses 70 trillion gallons a year. Um, that's a lot of water. Okay, so the next one, I'm not sure how they came up with this number, but it says it takes 660 gallons of water to make a quarter pounder. That's equivalent to showering for 2 months. Wow, that just for one burger, that's a lot. Chemical pesticides and herbicides are not only killing the soil, but they're creating dead zones in the ocean. Just outside of the Gulf of Mexico, where the Mississippi River enters the Gulf, there's a dead zone the size of New Jersey where there's no living life in the water. Right now, the cow population consumes the amount of food that it would take to feed 9 billion people. That is more than the amount of people on the planet right now. These poor animals, they need so much. That's what I see there. They just really require a lot. When beans and legumes are grown as crops, they transfer nitrogen from the atmosphere into the soil, completely eliminating the need for fossil fuel-based nitrogen fertilizers. We can only reduce climate change if we reduce our consumption of meat and lower the reliance on pesticides and chemicals. Grass-fed meat causes an even greater strain on the environment, which is a real bummer, due to the the animal growing slower and not getting as large. So there's more time for the animal to emit methane into the environment. 80% of grass-fed beef comes from Australia, New Zealand, or South Africa. Basically, it's imported. This is hidden from the consumers because by law, all imported meat must pass through a USDA facility. It is then able to be labeled as a product of the USA. Around the world, livestock are using more than 80% of the world's agriculture, but they're only producing 18% of the world's calories. So those numbers just don't add up. Again, that comes down to these cows, they just need a lot. If you don't spray pesticides, then the pollinators, such as bees, can do their thing, which means that you are actually growing more food. This one comes up in It's come up in multiple documentaries I've watched. It's so irritating to see this. Basically, if we do the thing that nature would naturally do, we'd get more produce, we'd get more food. So again, what are we doing on this planet? Animal agriculture is the second biggest strain on the environment next to fossil fuels. A whole food, plant strong diet has an enormous power to provide solutions to so many of the biggest challenges of our time, and often in dramatic ways. Earth is much like a human being. If we give it the opportunity to heal and the proper resources to do that, it could rebound maybe faster than we can imagine. Because we are all connected, whatever we do to animals and the planet itself, we do to ourselves. What right do we have to inflict suffering on anything? Every single animal in a factory farm knows love, feels pain, and is capable of healing. So I wrote that last one because for me, the most upsetting part of all the animal agriculture is the abuse of animals. We've all seen the videos. It's super upsetting. So not only do I feel that this is the fastest, most effective thing that we can do for our environment, I think that from a moral standpoint, we owe this to our animals. I don't know. It's pretty easy. It's almost too easy, but I feel like, some people have resistance. At this point, I don't care. When you're headed towards an environmental collapse, you do what you have to do. And I feel like it's a really small price to pay to change your diet. And nobody's even saying you have to do this or you have to do that or you have to give up all meat. You do the best you can with that. But I don't know, guys. It's time to stop having excuses and start realizing, we need to pull our head out of the sand on this one, because it is coming quicker than you can imagine. And if you care about children, you'll do your part. That's all I got to say. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you on another video. Take care.